There's an old story about a young scholar in ancient China. He trained his whole life for the imperial exam, the one path he believed would define his future. He studied, memorized, sacrificed, believing that if he followed the plan perfectly, life would reward him accordingly. But when the day finally came, he froze. His mind went blank. He failed. Later, an elder told him, "You drew a map for a life you had not lived yet." The world doesn't bend itself to our plans. It asks us to respond to what is actually in front of us. And that's where this story begins, because that's where so many of us eventually find ourselves. A lot of us start with a clear picture of who we're supposed to become, a job, a timeline, a version of ourselves we assume is waiting at the end of a straight road. When we're young, the future feels predictable, linear, almost guaranteed. So we carry that old version of ourselves for years, sometimes decades, without realizing how much we've changed. What we really want is a sense of coherence, to feel like life aligns with the image we once had of ourselves, to look at our choices and think, yes, this makes sense. Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. But most of us try to become who we think we should be before we ever ask who we actually are. Then, life intervenes. The things you thought would fit, don't. The timing you counted on doesn't materialize. The person you assumed you'd become doesn't match the person you've grown into. That gap between who you expected to be and who you actually are is where the grief lives. Nietzsche wrote, "Become who you are." He didn't mention how painful it is to let go of who you thought you were supposed to be. You mourn a version of yourself that never actually existed, but still meant something to you. The shift happens quietly, not in some dramatic turning point, but in the slow acceptance that you're living a real life, not an imagined one. You stop treating the younger version of you as a contract you're legally bound to honor, and you start treating them as someone who simply didn't know the life you have now. Carl Jung said, "What you resist not only persists, but grows." And when you stop resisting the present, something inside finally unclenches. You start to see yourself clearly, without the pressure to match an outdated version. And maybe the ending isn't a conclusion. Maybe it's an understanding. The original plan wasn't a destiny. It was a starting point. You don't become the person you imagined, but you become someone real, someone shaped by truth, not expectation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The pain is never the thing itself, but your judgment of it." So when the meaning attached to your old plan loosens, you finally feel lighter. You let the old version rest. You build a life based on who you are today. And that, quietly, steadily, becomes enough.